I just want to take you into last century for a moment by presenting you with a piece of instrument that went with me everywhere the last century, and that's this Walkman right here, a CD Walkman. To be specific, the Sony 8-track 3 Plus MP3 player. It's a CD player as well as an MP3 player. When I first purchased this, I purchased it from a store called Nobody Beats the Wiz, which is no longer around. That's another store that didn't make it into the new millennium, 22 years in. But I purchased it for about $120, and it was an advanced piece of technology then. And what made it special is that not only did it play regular CDs, music CDs, I mean, but it also played blank discs that you generated on your computer, right? So when you weren't into making CDs, you can also use, and I'll show you in a moment if possible, in case you don't know what I'm talking about. There was something called a blank CD back in the day. You can use it to record music, also store data on your computer. And so I was trying to show mine, but mine is currently being occupied by the computer, so it might not be able to come out at the moment. And the way it worked, if you don't know, and yes, if you know what this is and use it regularly, you probably can consider yourself old, and that's not a bad thing. But here on the side, you had the latch, and you just slide it to the side, and this would come open just like that. And here you would have your laser, all right there, where you can, that would help read the discs from the bottom. And if you remember back in the day, these used to come with a warning saying, do not look directly into the CD laser light because it could damage your vision and it could be dangerous. Whatever you do, every one of these came with the same warning, but now we walk around with Bluetooth in our ear and headsets around our heads. Anyway, inside is where you put the batteries. Just lift that up, and it worked on 2 AA batteries, and you just put them inside, and then just close it up. And this is not waterproof. You might find it still on eBay anywhere from $28 used to about $2,000 new, or even $500 used. And once you close it, you'll see the lettering right there. It's turning on the Sony Walkman sign. And no, it's not waterproof like some of the yellow ones that existed back in the day. I myself had one of those too. Another thing that made this 8-track Sony CD player special was that it had anti-skip technology, which you can toggle inside. Even though it's built in, you can still toggle it. It had 2 levels of it. And here's off, toggle it once, move it around twice, and it adds extra strength to it. And if you don't know what anti-skip was, it's because the original CDs that came out were not very stable in that if you bumped into the CD player, or you took a step, or you're driving with it in the car, it might jump every time there's a bump or any sort of impact. So the CD-G protection that this comes with eliminated that, and they had different levels of that. That was a selling point for many of these devices. Another thing that made these special is this wheel here, because not only did it play MP3s, it also played data CDs, data MP3s, which you know that on a regular CD player, recordable CD drive, can be, you can hold probably hundreds of MP3s, and to scroll through them, you can just use this wheel here, and you can just go and go and go and go and go and go as fast as you can. You can reverse it by going the other way, clockwise and counterclockwise. And when you reach the song that you want, you can just press play over here. You had the play button up here at the top. You had the forward button here, the rewind button here to go back. You can either hold down to go down fast, to go back fast, or you can press it twice to go back to the previous song. The same thing with going forward to advance the track. You can press here to go forward once, or you can just hold it down to make the track go by faster or to a location that you require, and then let it go. And the pause and the play button were the same buttons here at the top. It might bring a lot of memories back to you guys that used to go to record shops, record stores, and that was an event because you could scroll through the different aisles of the latest popular music that was out, or a soundtrack you saw in a movie, or just a single. And this is a technology that came out after cassettes and after the 8-tracks and after the LPs. So at the time it was pretty good in that you can take this with you. It was portable, and even though it wasn't waterproof, I used this in light rain, and it would still hold up. You wouldn't have to cover it that much. I could just put it in my pocket wherever I would go. And the way that it worked, you open it up like that. You would open the CD, and always you would hold the CD like this, okay, like this. The rainbow translucent side down, and that's the side that you want to keep free of scratches. And you put it here in the middle, you press it down, and once you close it, it would be ready to play after it processed and read the information on this disc for a few seconds. For copyright issues, I won't play you the CD because I don't want to receive a copyright strike from the owners of this track. And it would spin for a little bit while it's processing. And to take it out, you can make sure it's stopped. You open it, press down there in the middle, and take it out. If you're just gonna lay it down like that, you can just put it down on a clean surface. And if I were gonna put it back into the CD case, I would take it back here, and these teeth here in the middle in the CD case is what's gonna secure this in place. And then I would close it. It's not bad technology for back then, and some people still use it. I still know some people that use CDs and collect CDs for the art that they have in it and the track listings that they have on them. And it will give you a brief information about the people who worked on the CD, all the engineers and all the audio technicians. What else can I say about this? On the back, it has a hold button. And that's if, let's say, you're jogging with it, and or you just don't want any accidental touch while you're working out in the gym. Yes, people would take this to the gym, even though there weren't as many gyms as there are now, at least not very affordable ones back then, if you were into working out. You would press the buttons or accidentally touch a button, and nothing would happen because it would be on hold, so it won't interfere with your track. Another thing about this, you'll see, this was before Bluetooth. Okay, so it has a 3.5 millimeter audio input right there. And if you didn't have batteries, it also came with an adapter. Actually, I don't remember if it came with an adapter. I think you had to buy it separately, but it did work on power, which was at the time pretty revolutionary because you didn't need batteries if you just had it as a home tool where you just wanted to connect it to the wall and play a whole bunch of music connected to speakers. Again, the headphone port over here would also enable you to connect it to speakers. Right now, if you wanted to connect to Bluetooth, you can do it with some of the Bluetooth receivers that you have now, transmitters, if you wanted to still use the technology. And I'll show you how to do that in another video. I just wanted to introduce what this was for people who didn't know what this was and how to use it. And another thing about living in this century that's pretty good is that you can connect pretty awesome headphones to your music, to a CD. It's almost like if you could go back in time, you would take these headphones with you because they're very powerful. And you plug in right there, all right? And it sounds just as if you were in the studio. And again, these were something that in the 90s, most people who listen to music would invest in. And the 8-track technology, just in case you want to know a little bit about the 8-track 3 technology that was a big selling point for these CD players back in the day. I'll read it from the website. 8-track 3 uses data compression algorithm that adapts its analysis depending on the frequency components and characteristics of the sound signal. This enables it to compress CD data to approximately 1/10 of its original size with almost no loss in sound quality. So it's talking about the compression that goes into making as much space possible as well as the best sound quality possible. So there's a little bit of loss, but not a great amount of loss because of the 8-track 3 technology. And it continues main features, analyzes sound characteristics in 4 bands. 8-track 3 realizes high efficiency compression by dividing the audio signal into 4 bands and analyzing sound characteristics of each band extremely precisely. Divides sound into 2 types and efficiently compresses each type, carrying pure sounds like those made by a violin or a triangle, when analyzed, are found to be composed of certain sounds that have a higher sound level in frequency analysis. 8-track 3 therefore classifies the frequency data into those 2 different kinds of sounds into increased compression efficiency. There we go. MP3s. This was big back then. What were some of the cons back then? Well, the Duracell, Eveready, or Energizer batteries that came with this would last, let's say, a week or 2. And then you had to buy new ones. If you knew somebody who had connect to batteries, you could maybe buy them for about $2. But what we have now is we have access to rechargeable batteries that last a lot longer, which we didn't have back in the day. I remember stores, if you lived in New York in Westchester County, Yonkers, they had rechargeable batteries, but not as resourceful or efficient as the ones that we have now, and not for the price. Back then, rechargeable batteries could cost you up to $20 just for 4. So that's where we are now. What else can I say about this? If you find this in your collection, it might inspire you to buy CDs again. Right now, you can buy CDs for very cheap if you're still into it. I remember I had a friend who didn't like to hear music on the computer. He said it was too distracting. He said he likes to have his music with his music and his computer tools with his computer tools would not mix them both. He was a writer. He still is a writer. He's a writer. He makes poetry. Check him out. His name is Barry Wallenstein, and he makes great works of art through spoken word. He has a famous poem called Blues Again. Check it out. I think he has a new book that came out a few months ago too. But here it is. If you're interested in the Sony 8-track 3 Plus CD Walkman model D-NE711, 711, a name that takes you back to the 90s. You can hear all your favorite alternative tracks on this. Even if you like country, even if you like rock and roll, R&B, hip hop. Remember hearing a lot of Bone Thugs and Harmony on this, a lot of REM, Pearl Jam, and a lot of classic rock too. So these are still good. I'm sure there are a lot of people who still champion these types of devices. And if you're interested in these types of devices or have any comments or questions about this, please feel free to contact me about this. I wanted to make a longer video explaining this. There's a lot of other things that you can do with this now that you couldn't imagine back then, and I'll make some more videos about that in the future. Another thing I want to say about this, you can jump through folders because yes, you can make a whole album folder with this on your computer and then transfer it to this, and you can move about your different folders on this. So anyway, that's been the Sony CD Walkman with 8-track 3 Plus MP3 technology, silver finish.